We're live.
We're a Bill O'Reilly fan right here.
We'll do it live. So can we make our big announcement real quick? Should we
wait till we're live on my channel?
Oh, I thought we're live. It says we're live on YouTube.
We're actually attempting to do live on both channels.
Multi-streaming.
Oh, shit.
This is a simulcast.
Backup. Wow,
Super
welcome to
dangerous.
2016, everybody. Multi-streaming.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a different time.
Oh, it was. You know that Giuliani thing is still going on. Was anybody else watching that all day?
Guys, how is... Oh, no, I haven't watched that today.
Dude, it's... I mean, he's... I think there's still 10 more witnesses to go last time I checked. I mean, it's pretty absurd that the media is not covering any of it, no matter what you believe. I mean, they're now having eyewitness after eyewitness after eyewitness come up and talk about some crooked shit.
There is no evidence. There's zero evidence.
Yeah, I know. And Leslie from 60 Minutes will tell me that there's no scandal with Hunter Biden, even though his Johnny Wang dangle's out in front of a 14-year-old girl and he's smoking crack while making crooked business deals with the Ukraine and China. I know
that was a meth pipe, everybody. I want that. As a former drug addict, I would like it cleared up. That was, in fact, a meth pipe.
And he was in Oregon, so it was okay.
No, it's interesting. I mean, but is this all by design? That's the whole thing. Is this chaos? I mean, I just got done talking to Whitney Webb. If you really want to go black pill, talk to Whitney Webb. She'll put you in a nice place. And she was wonderful. It was a wonderful conversation. But like, they've been running simulations on this forever about just chaos and trying to get everybody to lose faith in the electoral system we have, which seems to be happening. But I also believe in humanity, and I think people are really getting over all of this. I think they're tired of it. I think they want, like, oh man, they're gonna riot. I think people are like, I'm not gonna riot, dude. I'm tired of it, man. Dude, okay, Matthew says I'm wrong, but it's possible.
No, I think you're right, man.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think that people are overcoming it. I mean, in my community, people are basically saying, well, this is go back to normal.
That's why they have to make you think that Biden won so that they can get the left to go bananas, because they really weren't going to get the right to go bananas. Look, the right isn't going bananas.
I just think also that, like, if you want the left to go crazy, why would you just fucking start parading all these like Godzilla monsters that you want to have on your cabinet to scare the left? Because I think that stuff, and listen, I'm totally cool if this is all theater. I totally get it. But it's like, that is just, people are just like, oh, dude, you're just a piece of shit too, which we all knew. Yeah. But for some reason, people
yeah, but Sam, you're talking about a base that today was tweeting out that Rand Paul is a puppet of Vladimir Putin because he dare say Fauci should apologize for what he's done to children in the school systems. Forget about apologize. He should be in prison.
Prison, dude. There's a firing line for that guy. I'll fight him for charity, dude.
I'm not calling for any violence. You know how I feel about that, Sam. And by the way, guys, why would you want violence? Why can't we just institute the Great Reset as kind of the new Rikers Island for these high-level criminals where they don't own anything? They're surveilled all the time. There's a track and trace database system. In fact, we can tune in on a YouTube channel and go to Dick Cheney's cell and watch him crying in there. I think that's the better way to go. You know, make an example by putting high-level people in prison and caging them up like they want us caged.
I think we should convert.
Watch them not commit suicide.
Well, I did a story today, and anybody can look this up. It was on CTV about a 90-year-old woman who is completely 100% healthy, and she hasn't been able to see her family for 9 months. And rather than be locked down and literally, when it first started, she was quarantined into her room for 2 weeks on top of that. So not only are you going to lunch where they're putting up plexiglass, you can't talk to the people in your home anymore, you can't talk to your family, but we put you in basically solitary for 2 weeks. This woman, because it's fashionable in Canada, actually decided to take her own life and had a medically induced suicide, 100% fine physically, in front of her family so she could be with her family one more time and not be isolated for them for however when they say it's okay. I mean, that's the new deal, man. And you got to remember, these are the same people that you can call them death panels if you want, but they were saying, you know what, Instead of giving grandpa that hip surgery at 76, give him a cane. Give him a cane. He's not rich. Fuck him. Like, seriously.
Why even give him
shoot him? Society.
What do you think is going to happen when, Christmas rolls around and more than 2 households meet in California? The city or county or whatever shuts off the power and the water of that house, and there's a guy who's on oxygen or needs a CPAP machine or, something, and that guy, someone dies or gets seriously hurt because they don't have electricity or power.
Hey, it's what the military call collateral damage.
I think, Sam's right. I think Sam's right. People are waking up, and I think once that happens, once someone dies or seriously gets injured because the city shuts off their power, their water, I think people are going to rise up and really just take it to the streets.
Well, I think the great resistance has to happen before then. We have to go occupy the halls of government, not just DC. I like what Jones is doing on the 12th. This is bigger than an election issue, right? Don't get me wrong. The election issue is huge. It's egregious. It's in your face. I mean, they put out an old man that didn't have to have rallies, didn't have to remember his name, was embedded in scandals as a literal establishment puppet of the predator class for decades, and outward about it, by the way, not shy about it at all, talking about crooked Ukrainian deals at the CFR, laughing with Richard Haass. That's the kind of respect they had for us. Huge scandal. But other than that, I'm locked in my house still. They're making me wear a mask at the coffee shop. They're censoring every doctor, even that latest one who put out a paper published by Johns Hopkins. What was that out? 48 hours? 48 hours before they took it away? They're censoring former executives from Pfizer. The censorship has to end. We have to go storm the halls of local government. We'll bring Wi-Fi. If you're working from home anyway, bring your laptop. And we just work there until all of these things are done. We cannot acquiesce to anything anymore. Not masks, not lockdowns, not your business shutting down. They want to fine you, rip it up, piss on it. Okay, don't show up to court. Make them arrest you. Make them be the forcible monsters that they are, because this is the new civil rights movement. And if you're not willing to take a baton or a hose or get drug out, I don't know that you really want freedom, whether that's in the United States of America or anywhere else in this world. So the great resistance has to combat the great reset, and we have to say no to everything.
Matthew, I think are you on 2 different lines? Because I see you're down here too.
Yeah, just in case I needed to share a screen.
Now you're in 3. That's great. You're just,
man, I like that.
Hey,
do that again. Oh, that's great. I'm Jason now.
Hey, did you guys hear the new rule that could allow for a gas and firing squads for use?
I was just about to bring that up. What do you guys think about this? It's crazy. The Justice Department is literally going to expand execution methods, like firing squads for federal death row inmates.
Who's going to be on that death row, though? That's the question. We're all thinking it's going to be like these these evil fucking psychopaths, but that might be like a drive-through of like getting rid of a dissent. Okay, next up, boom, 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 boom. Next up, turn and burn.
Yeah, that's when I got off the death penalty. Is that like even if you're guilty, because treason and like certain drug trafficking and murder are all capital offenses. So what's treason when the people who are making those decisions don't recognize the Constitution anyway?
Well, not just that; those people themselves are treasonous.
Didn't I see a headline about Canada getting auto guillotines?
Auto guillotines. I would
what is
love
that for? Are we going? La revolution. Is that what's happening? You don't remember what happened during the French Revolution? There was a lot of elites that had a bad day.
I think maybe the idea was to flip it, though.
Yeah, if they bring it out, I think they'll wake people up, man. I don't want violence. I don't want violence to anybody, but our politicians aren't afraid of us, and that's the worst thing. There's no fear because there's no I mean, when was the last time an honest to God like elite got in trouble? I think it was like the Iran-Contra affair, and like they had a patsy for that, and maybe Scooter Libby, but that's about it.
Well, didn't they give him a spot on Fox News too?
Yeah, and he's running the NRA. Like, come on, man.
Chris Hedges talks about this, about how there was a scene. He wrote about the scene in his book from back in the 60s when Nixon is in the Oval Office with Kissinger, and they've put buses end to end all the way around surrounding the White House because there's people out there that are freaking out and they're about to, riot. And he said that in the White House, you have Nixon saying, Henry, they're going to come and get us. They're going to get us, Henry. They're going to come and get us. And he said, that's exactly where you want them to be mentally at all times, that you want them to feel as if there might be repercussions for their action, that the people might actually come and get them. And they don't feel that. Politicians do not feel that. They don't fear us. They don't fear repercussions. They don't fear the Department of Justice because it's totally corrupted. They know they're not going to see any real time. And we, the people, have been way too passive. I'm not calling for violence, to be clear, but I am calling for them to look over their shoulders before they do something shitty to us. But the way they have been acting for the last 40 years has been that they know that there's nothing that we're going to do to them for the things that they've done. And until that changes, I don't think we should expect any sort of real results from the politicians.
Well, let's get into something specifically, because all the things we're talking about, starting a revolution, getting people angry, that's only possible if people can actually get the information, the truth, because if not, they're brainwashed. And that's kind of like the focus of today's show is how do we, as content creators and people who are trying to get this information out there, what are our options, what are our issues, and what are our alternatives? And that's why we have Matt with us today. We have Erin and we have Jeremy and maybe some other people who might join us later. But for now, do you guys want to jump in regards to some of the work you guys are doing in regards to giving people like us, content creators, a place where we can spread our information, spark ideas without any censorship?
Yeah. I mean, for us at Flote, creating a censorship-resistant platform is super important to us. I mean, watching so many of you guys, I mean, good friends of ours, their income's just slashed and people just being censored left and right. I mean, you can't even say take vitamin C on YouTube anymore. Coming onto Flote, like we really just wanted to give creators a way for them to monetize as much as they could and keep their monetization instead of giving YouTube 30%. But we wanted a place where people can share their ideas and share their opinions and basically cultivate conversations about what we're going to do to move things forward. It's to keep using these legacy platforms it's like going back to an abuser. So for us, we really just want to encourage people to share their ideas, share their skill sets, so people in the same communities can get together with those people and say, hey, if I pull my child out of school, you're 10 miles down the road and you're a teacher, let's build like these micro communities and basically help each other get out of this indoctrination camp of schools, get out of this way of like this information war of sharing ideas and opinions on Facebook and then getting censored and kicked off. So there's no place to share your thoughts or opinions or concerns about the world. So I think, just getting onto platforms like Library, Odyssey, Flote, Gab, those are just so super important.
Just as an aside, we are streaming to FLOTE.app right now. And the people over at Flote, I've been testing out streaming and seeing what can take bit rate wise from my servers, and they are very accommodating and very easy to work with. The interface is very easy to use for people. So if you're looking to stream to a platform, Flote makes it incredibly easy to do so.
Thank you.
Yep,
that's all I got. Yeah,
right on.
It's good.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. And because I agree completely that we need to be finding and using alternatives that have better policies and that are more respectful to us as individuals. So I'm here representing Library and Odyssey. So Odyssey.com has become, I think, we think it's not an alternative but the successor. These platforms have become very corporate. They've become very controlled. The creators who are starting now, you're not going to get big on these platforms anymore. And so if people are looking for for something that's a little bit more respectful than YouTube, there's an incredible roster of creators that are using Odyssey.com, including a number of people here, as well as some really, really big names. So you can check out the Odyssey.com homepage and see all of that. And part of the reason that we think we'll ultimately win, you don't need to understand all of this, but Odyssey is built on top of a really revolutionary technology called Library. And unlike pretty much everything else, certainly every other video platform, Library allows you to really have an unprecedented degree of ownership and control. We basically do to publishing what Bitcoin did to money. So I'm here, I've already heard things said tonight that, I wouldn't necessarily agree with, but that doesn't matter. You shouldn't need to agree with the people who build technology to be allowed to talk. And I agree. I feel that very strongly. And that's a big part of why we're doing what we do here at Library and Odyssey.
And another way that we're going to win is these platforms. I feel like there's hundreds of social media alternatives out there, and none of them are working together. And I want to work with you, Jeremy. I want to build things. I want to build things, Float and Library and Odyssey. Like, I want to take us to the moon. Like, I want to collaborate with all the platforms that are out there that are combating the censorship online. And so that's the way to work together. That's the way to win, is to work together and to collaborate and to create things that circumvent the way that things are going.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agreed. And we're very favorable towards that. Everything we do is open source. And even in terms of the things that we've built, we had several hundred people contribute to our software last year, and most of them didn't work at the company. And so I think that there are a lot of people out there who are, everyone here, right? We're all motivated. We all share this. We all share this idea that we need alternatives.
And that's where my company is coming in to try to help all of you. We're ContentSafe. What we do is provide media redistribution services. We're presently helping redistribute about 10 content creators to Float, BitChute, Library, and a half a dozen other alt media platforms and social media platforms.
That's huge.
And I know it's one of the big complaints. I've been talking to content creators about this idea for a few years. One of their biggest complaints is, oh, great, we've got all these places we can take things to, but we don't have the time to do more than one or two. We'd rather be focused on creating our content. And what I did was visualize this, make it into a reality where we have a scaled architecture that we can redistribute to hundreds of platforms if they exist.
Nice. What's the name of your platform?
ContentSafe.
ContentSafe. Okay.
Content.
Let's talk.
Real quick. I also want to introduce Jaime from ROKFIN. I've been blessed to be working on ROKFIN, and I've had nothing but a wonderful experience there. And I think it's I love what they're doing there. They're a paywall service. Well, they have a paywall service that is like competitive with Patreon, and I would love to hear from Jaime and tell you, because I'm really thankful for and I know that a couple guys on here are on ROKFIN, and I know that they're very happy with it. And I'm like Paul Revere. I'm like yelling to anybody, get on multiple platforms. Patreon's great because that's where everyone goes, but you got Subscribestar, and ROKFIN, and I'm really happy with ROKFIN as a paywall site, and I think and Jaime, you can jump in here, but I believe it is I believe it's kind of like the Netflix model where you pay one fee for a bunch of paywalls, and I think that's fucking brilliant, man. And I tell all the guys here, I know ROKFIN wants big names there. I'm working with them as the other people are on the site to get bigger names on there, but also some of you guys in the alternative community who have a smaller following. I personally think ROKFIN is a great place for you to go, because I've seen people that have done Jimmy Dore's show, and they get on they get a big following because people know them from Jimmy Dore. So all the Jimmy Dore people start following them there. And I think Jamie's got a great idea, and I love everybody's platforms, and I would love to be on all of them. I think Matthew's idea is fucking great and probably is a game changer that will help us push back. But I'd love to hear from Jamie too.
Jamie, you ready, or you need a second?
Yes. Sorry, I'm in the car, so it's a little dark. Here we go.
Yeah, shady. Hey, that's how we like it.
I know it totally looks shady. So first of all, thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. The reason I joined this call is I did wanted to learn more about ContentSafe. I agree that that's a feature that's been asked by some of our creators. So I wanted to kind of hear the high level, and if there's interest, then I would take it offline with him and see how we can integrate.
I would love
some of his technology into ours. So that's the reason that I joined. Now, the last thing I'll say is I don't really like the word alternative platform. We're building a billion-dollar platform. We're not here to be an alternative to anything. We're here to be the leader on monetization of content. So I know in this world, in the alternative world, the main goal for a lot of people is to put the truth out there, and I love that. For us, we're not just politics or conspiracy or whatever. We have actually most of our content is on sports. So our main goal is that when a creator joins, that they're able to monetize the content better than anywhere else. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I'll say. But yeah,
let me back that up, Jamie, because without Jamie and them contacting me, I think not even a year ago, right? Somewhere maybe about 12 months ago, somewhere in there, and saying, hey, this was a platform that I could actually monetize my content. Now I've been demonetized completely on YouTube for 8+ months. This platform is the only reason I was able to move to Iowa. This is the only reason I have money in the bank account right now for any kind of an emergency. And it is an ingenious platform in the sense that, number one, it's great that Flote lets you go live. BitChute still doesn't. They have that. Then, like he said, this is sports-based content. So this is actually started by an entrepreneur named Martin Florani. If you know what Flow Sports is, if you're a guy like me, it's instant name brand recognition. Number two, people like Ben Askren, people like Duke Rufus, people big in mixed martial arts, niche things like wrestling, not pro wrestling, but actually high school and collegiate wrestling are huge there as well. And then it's alternative media. So you don't have cat videos. There's no cooking tutorials. Right now, it's a niche thing. And I've been able to take my audience of 59,000 people at YouTube and convert that now to over 8,000 followers there. On top of that, the paying subscribers that are now coming through with the way they pay, which is also brilliant, an ERC token that they're burning versus the money they're taking in every month, every time they swipe that $9.99, and the content that people are watching, that's premium, who you're bringing in as well, and maintaining them is better than a one-to-one right now, because obviously Ethereum's going up, Bitcoin is going up. So what does that mean one-to-one? Let's say I had 10 subscribers paying $9.99 a month, right? So that's $100 that would come to me, right? That's just a thing. I'm getting more than that $100 if I wanted to cash out immediately. Now, by not cashing out immediately and actually believing in this network, I believe that the ERC token that they're using, the Ray token, will actually grow. It's highly different than what, I've talked to the guys at Minds, and don't get me wrong, all these alternative platforms, like you said, are great, and you shouldn't call them alternatives, but this one is based in actual currency. It's happening now, and it's not just for everybody to come in. So I'm just telling anybody out there right now that does have an audience that is worried about being completely deplatformed on YouTube, like I am, that wants to, and you can put everything out for free too. Like, I want to make that very clear as well. It's not like you're forced to monetize your content. It's just overall an amazing platform. And Jamie, thank you so much, man, because I wouldn't be sitting at this desk at this nice studio, with my family upstairs screaming and hollering without you.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. We're not, Odyssey is not exactly in the membership class, but it does offer CPMs that are comparative or higher than YouTube, also paid in cryptocurrency.
All the platforms here all have super strengths and they're very important. And I love that, you know, Erin was like, I want to work with Jeremy. I think that's important because I think that we need to spread our content everywhere. And if, you know, it's like James Corbett said on the first Union of the Unwanted, if we're in one place, it's easy to control us. If we're all over the place, so we should have Float, we should have ROKFIN, we should have Library, we should have all these places, and they all have wonderful, wonderful opportunities for alternative creators. And I think this show today, and I gotta say, Ricky, you did a great job booking it because I am loving this conversation, man. This conversation is wonderful. And to me, everybody that's here is like, man, this is historic shit right here. And I think if we all do more of this, we have more conversations like this, we can create something that bangs with YouTube, because YouTube's going to become the mass singer of websites, just where the dumb go to fucking clap. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we got like what the people we have here today, we are all blessed to be talking to them, and they're talking about their platforms, and Matthew with his system is a game changer. So the three websites here, and Matthew, this is historic. And I'm very thankful that Ricky put you all together.
It's good that you brought that up, Sam, because I think I look at these platforms and I think that's great. Let's not call them all platforms. Let's call them platforms. I look at this as a transitional step. What we at ContentSafe imagine is we're going to go beyond these hosted platforms. We're going to start teaching and encouraging and providing services so that people can move out to IPFS and any other future technologies that might become viable. I personally don't think that technologies like IPFS are viable at the moment. But I do think some technology like that will be viable in the near future, and it will provide that there won't need to be platforms.
Sure. I mean,
will just be
it's Library, and 8 million people watched the video via it last week, right? Like, we already provide the user experience. It's people don't even know, right? Most people don't even know they're using a Web 3.0 technology when they interact with Library, because we don't put it at the front. It's a normal experience, but it's backed by something that's fundamentally radical in terms of the amount of control and censorship resistance it offers.
So the people on the call who are content creators, do you guys have questions? I'm sure you have some questions for some of these platforms. Would you guys want to?
I would like to ask one, if I don't mind, then I'll shut up for a little while. As we see, you know, we have people, we've seen what happened with BitChute. All of a sudden, they get knocked offline. They're dealing with this. To the people who have websites that you're dealing with, or you have your platforms. Are there anything are you taking any precautions to push back against these things so they don't knock Library or Float or ROKFIN offline? Is there anything you can do?
Well, we take a sort of two-tiered approach. So Odyssey.com is the equivalent of Coinbase. Coinbase follows all of the laws around Bitcoin. Odyssey.com is intended to be a mainstream brand. It'll have better policies than YouTube has, but it's a mainstream brand, and it all follows the law. Library Desktop is a peer-to-peer client that doesn't require our company to use and interact with the network. So you can use a completely peer-to-peer version, or you can use the sort of centralized version, and there are different trade-offs between using both of those, and they have some different properties. So basically, you have this one that's very, very resistant that people can always have access to. You have one that's a little bit more convenient, but that has to make certain pragmatic choices.
I actually really love what you guys do over at Library in this regard. I think you guys do it really, really well, and it should be almost like the model. For us at Float, we are centralized. However, decentralization is a huge priority of ours moving forward, as well as having many, many copies of our server, many, many backups. But moving forward, like, we really do want to decentralize, and whether that means putting it on blockchain or moving on to IPFS, creating as many nodes as possible, distributed nodes as possible. That's our end goal. So that's how, we plan to combat that.
Yeah, and I actually
and
want
then-
to emphasize, as the decentralized guy here, like I think Float and Erin, like these are very pragmatic choices. Like the honest truth is we've moved towards more centralized with stuff like Odyssey because centralization does a lot of things that people need. And so, you know, you want, I do think the decentralization is very important and it needs to be there. But the honest truth is, if you want to have mainstream reach, if you want to be able to reach a lot of people with your content, people need to be able to just go to a website and click play.
Right, exactly. It needs to be easy. That's exactly the issue with decentralization. It's just usability. It's compromised right now, and I hope to see that be fixed over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, and I think it will be fixed. I think that we won't need that in 10 years. But I think Jeremy's right. I think right now it's just a pragmatic decision. And I've had this discussion with other people who do distributed technologies. And Jeremy, you guys, I must say, I've reviewed your architecture. It is kick-ass. Really
Thank
is.
you. Thank you. And it's actually you gave us really the biggest compliment, which is you integrated with us without talking to us, which means that we've done it correctly.
Yeah, though I would love to have a discussion with you guys offline, because there are certain things that could reduce maybe some obstacles that we run into.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a big supporter of what you guys are doing as well. Our whole thing is, you know, we're not everyone else's strategy is like, we want to secure you and then we want to like lock you away. We want to trap you, right? And that's the opposite of our approach. We're not trying to trap everyone. So we love we love all kinds of different integrations and collaborations.
And you know, I guess this brings to light one other topic. I don't know if we want to do it now or not, but one thing I've noticed, and I think you guys do a pretty good job about this, and that is search. Search in these platforms is a problem, and it's something that needs to be kind of addressed. Like, look at BitChute search.
Yeah.
BitChute search is not quite there yet.
In general, actually, the discovery in general, to even broaden it, which includes search, but also things like recommendations, machine learning, training,
which we also
algorithms.
plan to do as well. We're planning maybe 2022 integrating our own recommendation engine that would go cross-platform. In fact, sorry to interrupt you there, Jeremy, but I hope some of you who are closer to my age might remember Metacrawler.
Multi sort of search engine thing.
Yeah, we're actually got that in the works to build a Metacrawler across the different platforms. So that's something that I really would like to see happen as well.
Cool.
I've been wanting to do a social media roundtable for months now. I just haven't had the time to put it all together. But I would love to just kind of create our own little social media roundtable where we meet privately or publicly or whatever, and we just discuss how we can integrate and help one another.
In fact, Erin, I've got some ideas I'd like to throw over your way. That I've been doing work for some people in different industries for business social networks, and we might share some ideas.
Let's do it.
Maybe something to shift the discussion a little bit. A lot of the problem is not just technological. It's not just product. It's social. It's expressive. It's communicative. How can we all do a better job, making people aware of the problems that the traditional platforms have, giving people the tools to move. Part of what makes it hard is like people are very established. That is part of why these platforms become so entrenched, is like they have this weight to them, and it's hard to step out and it's hard to step away. How can we do a better job in this area?
Well, I think Flote has kind of started that process by being able to import your Facebook data. It's the most difficult thing, as you mentioned, to pull people away from these platforms because their families are on there. That's where their content has lived for over 10 plus years. And it's just too exhausting to go and save each individual photo and video and blah, 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 blah. So we've actually created a way where you can download your Facebook data in JSON format and upload it onto Flote. So it'll actually collect all of your data within, you can separate the time periods, but it'll post your posts, videos, and your images and dock it over to Flote. So I think that's a good way to at least, say, hey, listen, if you don't want to sit there and waste hours saving content from Facebook and then uploading it on the other platforms, just download your data and do it all in one fell swoop. So that's the start, at least for us. But, it's just, honestly, I think Facebook is doing our job for us. And, they're censoring stupid content, just like stupid little conversations, jokes people make. I think Kingsley was joking around with a friend, and he just wrote like, "Oh, I'll cut you." And Facebook's like, "Oh, I gotta stop you right there. Can't say that." Like stupid shit, man. So I think they're honestly doing our work for us in that regard. I don't know about you, but my Facebook feed is all about, hey, what's the alternative of the week? Where are we going to go? Like, oh, I'm on Gab. Oh, I'm on Parler. Oh, I'm on Library. It's just like a mass freaking exodus. So I think people are done. They've had it.
They may be done. I'm a creator. I do a little programming here and there in Python. So technologically, I can wrap my head around some of what you guys are doing. But as a creator, YouTube is very comfortable because it's on my mobile device. I still stream there. It can feel kind of scary to leave it because it's so convenient to search what you want, and it typically will come up. So for me as a creator, I still want to produce things for YouTube, even though it is restrictive. I don't get promoted the same way I did 5 years ago for the same type of content. So it is kind of scary to leave that. I do most of my research and media consumption on my phone. I listen to YouTube. I use it basically as my radio to listen to podcasts on YouTube. If a library starts to have that capability, I'm there. If Flote has a mobile app, I'm there. ROKFIN, I love ROKFIN. If they start to have a mobile app with that capability, I am there. Yeah. Picciot's nice. It looks like crap though. The UI is garbage, and they have to know this at this point.
Yeah.
And it's important for people to report that so they can at least kind of take that criticism and cater it to what their users want.
And I think that looking at it like we do, we kind of dig into things in order to be able to integrate. And there are some fairly simple things that Picciott could do to make it a lot better. Yeah. And it wouldn't take a fortune to do it.
Well, let me say this. I just think that the biggest obstacle that nobody's talking about and really needs to be addressed is the fact that you have big tech collusion. Let's not, act like that's not a thing. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, the three largest platforms, openly collude against Gab. They openly collude against alternate video platforms like Picciott. You got to understand your growth at some point, even Parler, right? I'm hearing so much about Parler. Well, that's because they have some big names and big money behind it. But what's the chatter? Oh, well, I'm just saying the chatter on people that aren't aware of the censorship or enjoy the censorship really, or buy into Russian collusion, for instance. They now think this is a platform like Gab is for white supremacists and Nazis. And if you're on there, you're a Nazi and a white supremacist. They take it further when you're on Twitter and you try to click one of those links and you get it like you're going to a third-rate porn site that's going to scrape your info and it warns you not to go there. Yeah. That's a huge issue when you're talking about 80 to 90% of the full traffic of the internet being run on these three sites. So that's what I would also say is unique about ROKFIN is it is not necessarily dependent on traffic from those three sites to gain awareness, because it is like a Netflix for creator. You know what you're going there for. If you are a paid member, you know why you're paying. You're paying for that creator, but you get everybody's content. I'm just saying that the big tech collusion is probably the number one obstacle everybody is going to come up. You got to understand, we're talking YouTube again. I've said it a million times, but it's not only the largest video platform in the world. It is the second largest search engine under the first largest search engine, which is of course Google, under the first largest operating system in the most hands in the world, Android. And they openly work with NASA on AI and quantum computing. You're not dealing with a traditional technopoly. This is a big deal. And I think that if we're ever going to reach that next level where, hey, your neighbor is on any of these platforms we're talking about, and it's just a normal thing, we have to address that, fight it, and somehow win.
Yeah, I think that we need to stop saying it's necessarily about free speech. We need to make this more nasty sounding. This is about monopolization of media. And that's what I've taken to explaining to my more normie friends, that they say, well, why would they want to censor people, content creators that make cooking videos? I said, because they want to
All
have
about control.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. It's
I
all
actually
about
think
control.
there's an even easier, which is someone has to make the choice, right? So do you want Mark Zuckerberg to be making that choice for you, right? I don't need to prove to you that, don't need to argue about the specific choices. The choice has to reside somewhere. Who do you want it to reside with? When we distrust what Mark Zuckerberg in every other context about our information and everything, now we're trusting him to decide what anyone gets to watch and read and these kinds of things. And so I think when you put it, that's, of all the ones I've explored talking to people, that one gets it to click with just about everybody, that, oh, someone has to decide. And why would I trust these people to decide for me?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to address how ROKFIN handles the question that Sam, I think number one, as all of you mentioned, like, we're very paranoid, right? Because right now, when we become the size of something, they're going to come after us. And that means, oh, we can shut down 200 creators at once. Great. Right. So we become very paranoid, and we see it. Our strategy is essentially, how can they come after us? So one point of attack, I think Flo said, we backing up all our data and what's called also containerize, so that if we need to move from one cloud service to another, we can do it at the click of a switch. So that's number one. Because I think, Jason, you mentioned 3, I would probably, at some point, Amazon's going to get in the game and start shutting down their cloud services to whoever they want. So that's number one. And number 2 for us is the payment side, which we know people have been banned from PayPal and merchant accounts and so on. And so that one is easier, because that one you can just have multiple merchant accounts. And again, if one doesn't like you, then you shut them down. Maybe you pay a little bit higher fees to the next one, but then you use that one. And so that's how ROKFIN's strategy is: being completely paranoid, making sure that our points of attack have a backup, plan B, plan C.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys thought about actually having a everybody gets together in the the media space that you guys have right now, like library, everybody is creating their own data center. I built data centers, like I'm a telecom technician by trade. So
cool.
Have you guys ever thought about like doing something like that, collaborating? Because you need everybody together, because if everyone is not together, it's hard to create actually a big data center that you guys could benefit on and then build upon later on. It's just a thought.
I would love us to do that. That would work great for us. Collaboration, cooperation, providing some uniformity of APIs so that we can shunt data between one another. The potential for distributed search. I mean, I think it's a win for everybody.
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know about sharing data per se, but the reason I joined this call was to see what these guys have and understand it more, and maybe look more into it tomorrow, and then have some conversations, because collaboration is key in getting stronger, as you mentioned, but it's also getting better quicker, right? So if they have a technology, sure, I'm sure like our engineers can build it, but if they can continue doing something else that's more important to our core features and their core feature is one feature that our creators have requested, then why not? Why would we spend time on that when we can collaborate on that?
Yeah, it works the same for the content creator as well as the platform. If we can provide you with something that eases you to focus on your primary mission, that's what we're here for. We don't intend to be a media platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think convenience, one thing that we touched on, is very important. Like Mike said, I think you're much more likely to get somebody to leave iPhone and go to Android, or vice versa, if they can just, because there's an easy way to transfer that information. Like, that simple thing will prevent somebody from going to a different platform, just like the convenience. So I think what Erin said, the Flote thing of like having your Facebook information go right to Flote and not having to upload everything all over again, I think that's kind of what you were saying you can do now, makes life a lot easier. I think an app, it's super easy just to put in a URL, but it's a little bit easier to just hit a little icon on your phone and people are lazy. We find the path of least resistance. So if we can cut a corner, we will. And I think the YouTube thing does have the convenience on their side, but I think to be the devil's advocate, the convenience isn't going to be as important as the fact that you can't find anything anymore on YouTube, nothing interesting. And it's getting to the point where like people like myself who research and been researching for a long time, and everybody else on this call, you could go down some rabbit holes on YouTube and using Google or whatnot. Now you can't find anything. I mean, you can't even find the content creators who are on this call on YouTube or Google, even if you, in many cases, put in the exact title of the show. So I think people more than ever are looking for alternatives, and they've gone so far. I remember Ben Swan saying this on my show, like they just overplayed their hand where it's almost like they went too far, where now people are like, listen, I like the convenience, but you went so far that fuck the convenience. Now I'm like, it's useless. You have a useless platform. If I don't, like somebody mentioned, unless I want to look at cooking videos or how-to videos or whatever. But if you really want to learn something and listen to something thought-provoking, you're much more open to going to a ROKFIN or library or Picciott or whoever it may be, or use Flote, because you do have, and that's the thing with Parler. I know there's a lot of conversations about where they're getting their money or whatnot, and who knows if Parler is going to survive or if people, it's going to end up having the same issues Twitter had. But I think it shows you how much people really just want alternatives, because Parler, people jumped on a Parler just because they heard, oh, this is the Twitter without the censorship, so it's just one of those things where I really do believe we're at this transition where people are finally fed up and not just open to alternatives, seeking alternatives.
Yeah, I think the usability thing also plays a huge role. I mean, it has to be intuitive. That's something that I think I really underestimated when we started Flote, is just how important intuitiveness is. It almost needs to what's the word? It needs to have that feel of like existing social media, because I can't tell you how many nights I've stayed up till like 4:30 a.m. just helping users figure out what this button on Flote does, what this button on Flote does. So like really having a very intuitive platform and a good UI experience, God, it's like so underrated.
Completely agreed.
Other content creators, Tim, Teace, Richard, TruthZilla, any of you guys, Charlie?
I can speak up for ContentSafe. So my name is Richard Grove. I've done long form podcasts since 2006. I've made films. I've got thousands of hours of content out there, and I'm still monetized outside of YouTube. I am monetized on YouTube, but I don't use it because I have other offers out there. And I've been working with Matthew and ContentSafe since before they created it. His original thing was people were getting censored. Here's how to prevent their content from getting lost. And I said, that's a good pitch, but it's a fear-based pitch on loss. What I need as a content creator is I want to upload one place and put it on YouTube and Picciott and Library and Flote and ROKFIN. I've applied to ROKFIN. I'm a Bermas referral, but I'm still waiting to hear back. I don't know. And he was able to facilitate that. So I would start getting emails. And it's like something we uploaded a couple days ago has now trickled through to Picciott or Library. And so we have a new podcast called Grand Theft World, where we're taking everyone who's getting censored off these platforms, put them in one place, but we're also hosting that on Library, Picciott. When it's allowed on YouTube, it goes on YouTube. But ContentSafe is facilitating that so I can continue to focus on highest and best use of my time, which is teaching and dealing with clients and producing. And I don't have to struggle with Picciott crashing and going back and trying to re-upload, because I wasn't willing to do that. Yeah. So it allows me to save time, be more productive. And that's why I think more people were getting interested in the past couple months, because now it's a thing.
The more I learn about ContentSafe, I'm like getting goosebumps. I'm like so excited. I think it's such a brilliant little platform. Like, honestly, I really think it's what you guys do is very important. So yeah, I can't wait to check this out and like talk to you more.
Well, I do want to give the connections that Matt needs to make, because like he could get very overwhelmed very quickly.
Oh yeah.
So really, I think, it's like Derek Bros. It's other people, colleagues of mine that are in the freedom community that we've said, hey, if you need this service, take a meeting with Matt. And I told Ricky in July, but he didn't really, but when I tweeted it last week, he's like, hey, can I set up a meeting with Matt? And then they talked for 2 hours the other day. So yeah, now's the time to get it everywhere and distribute it, not centralized.
I was just on a podcast with Jason Bassler, the co-founder of the Free Thought Project, and he's been censored. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so he's just
No, this is a Christian podcast.
This is a censorship podcast.
Don't do that. Don't fucking swear.
Just say earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, so he's been it's like censored like a fuck ton, and like, he actually told me that he literally posts across 15 different platforms, and it takes him majority of the day. So it's like, God, a platform like that will help you do it and do it for you and make sure your content stays safe. And it's very, very
ContentSafe.co.
Well, and the other thing about ContentSafe is because I do long form, if my upload doesn't work right, it's a longer process. So last night we did a 4-hour live show. I used some adult language, but then I didn't feel bad because we had a clip of Whitney Webb with Jason Bermas, and boy, did they say fuck a lot during that clip. So that was really cool. And they dropped the word technopoly. So I had to pull out the Technopoly book last night and get into the origins of the word and all these sort of things. So JB, when I get that, it's actually on YouTube. Grand Theft World episode 4, like 2 hours, 30 minutes. You're in there twice. Honorable mention. Good job.
Tim, I know you want to jump in.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Library, because I first heard about you guys probably 4 years ago on Ernest Hancock's show, who's another guy who's been pioneering, and I think I first heard about Matthew from Ernest Hancock's show as well, and it really took me until this year to get on Library, but it's so easy compared to BitChute. I've been paying BitChute just to support them for like 2 years, and I stopped even uploading to them about January. I just paid somebody to just upload all my stuff because I didn't. One of my assistants I just had them just upload everything back to BitChute, but it's just such a pain that, I don't have time for that. So, BitChute is prioritized basically, besides YouTube. And so what I'm trying to do now is come out with stuff actually to my email list first, or text message opt-in list. I just did my first interview where I did that with one of the co-founders of SpaceX. And what I did is I had to go out in Library first. But in that video, I tell people that. So then when it goes out to YouTube, and then when it goes out to Josh's BitChute channel, which is much larger, it's directing people to Library, directing people to email sign up list. And I wanted to see if Jeremy could talk to me a little bit more about like the Web 3.0 aspect of it, because it might get lost in our viewers and listeners who might have no idea what that means. But before I do that, I also want to give a shout out to Flote. I've been using that pretty much since day one. Although I don't use it as much as I should, but they do make it really easy. They've been doing everything with like a shoestring budget. They're about to launch a token sale. I am a financial advisor, so I can't say it's just for informational purposes only. But what they're doing right now is I am pretty optimistic where they're going. But I think ultimately, and this is something that Ernie has talked about, Ernest Hancock, is because what I'd like to do is, let's say, live stream. I think if we promote our own websites, have a link to whatever live stream we're doing. So a Union of The Unwanted, November 30th, and then boom, have like a flow. If we could have like an embed of the live stream from, like, let's say, Flote, and then maybe when we're done live streaming, have that somehow go over to like a library. I'm not sure if that could be done, or having some sort of IPFS system where if the video is not live, we can then have it first hosted from our website and then have it go out to other places. Like in the long run, something like that I think would be really good for the community. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know what the capabilities of doing something like that would be, but I think ultimately going like low tech is almost like the new high tech of getting our email list. I recently switched off MailChimp because they took down Dan Dick, so we need to make sure all of our email lists are backed up, our text message lists are backed up, our content's backed up. So it's not just about the content, it's about our people's information, because I was very optimistic 4 years ago when I first started making stuff, and it was strictly on Facebook, and then overnight, boom, 99.99% reach reduction. And it was November 16th, 2016. It was one night, boom, just happened overnight. And so I learned my lesson real quick on that, and I was just trying to do things on the other platforms. But unfortunately, even our audiences don't want to go to other places. And this was, now they're getting to that point, but unfortunately the other places are becoming like the, nothing against them, but the Dan Bongino backed platforms of, oh, we've got the Bongino report as a alternative to the Drudge Report. Now we've got Rumbler, which is Bongino's video service, and we've got Bongino's Twitter service, and all these guys that thought they knew everything, like they don't understand the bigger picture, which is the Web 3.0, which is if they can censor it, they will eventually censor it, and how do we make the content so that way it can't be censored? Then ultimately going back to low text. I know that was a kind of a longer statement, but I wanted to see if Jeremy could maybe talk more about the Web 3.0 aspect of what you're doing on the library side of things.
Sure, but before I do, I also want to reiterate that Tim said it's very easy to use. So because the Web3 stuff gets nerdy, and so that's
it's even easier to use before you get censored. So I know Sam's not here right now, so I wish Sam was here, because I told him this. I'm like, Sam, before you get kicked off, not to manifest that into the world, do it now, because it's already there. Because once you're kicked off, it's going to be much, much tougher, and costs a lot more time, effort, and energy and money. So unfortunately, Sam's not here to hear this plug right now, but I have told him that in the past.
Yeah. So all right. So this is actually why we launched Odyssey, to make this distinction clear. So Odyssey.com is the successor to YouTube. All right. You can go and check it out. It's super user friendly. It will bring over your whole channel. It's all of it's all the things we've talked about in terms of the user experience, just being there. The product works. It's on, when our iOS app comes out in December, we will be on all 5 operating systems, both phones, all 3 desktop operating systems. So it will be everywhere, user-friendly app on every platform. But what's underneath all of this is a technology called library that's, I would use the word radical in the same way that Bitcoin was radical, or the same way that some earlier internet technologies, SMTP, some people might not know, which powers our email. That's a radical technology. It lets me deliver a message to anyone in their inbox. And our email addresses, we own our email addresses. If we want to do it at our own domain, we're not using Gmail. We own our email addresses. So we're trying to turn digital publishing into this kind of thing. We want it to be an open standard, not owned by any one company, not owned by us, right? I'm the CEO of a company. I'm not a CEO of the protocol. The protocol is an open standard, just like the way that Bitcoin is. I can get very nerdy. I'm a nerdy guy. I have a computer science background, and I can explain exactly what I mean by all of these things. I'm not sure that's where we want to go on the show. But that's the fundamental property, is that, right? People understand that property with Bitcoin. I have my private key. I own this money. Same kind of thing, but think publishing. This is my channel. It's mine. It's no one else's. No one else can come and take it away or delete it or whatever. All right. That's the difference of library.
So Jeremy, I've had a lot of people try to get me on library, and you just talked about how you can import your entire YouTube channel. A guy like me, how easy is it to import? Is it super? I have 1,700 plus videos.
If you could start doing it right now, and you would have the process started within 2 minutes, and you would get an email probably in about 800 videos. I don't know, 1 to 3 days. It's just gonna be like, it's done.
So 800, so 1,700 a week. 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. Did you say 8? I thought you said 800. 1,300. I don't know. It's gonna take a couple of days, less than a week.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right, man.
Well, you have nothing to lose, because you just click a button and it just
The process will be initiated. The process will be initiated in 2 minutes, and you'll get an email like every step of the way. It'll be like, the thing is starting, the thing is done.
That's why I was telling Sam that you want to do this before you get kicked off, because if you get kicked off YouTube, then it's going to be a real pain in the butt to get your content over. But here, anything you put up on YouTube automatically goes to library, and it's just, or Odyssey. So it actually goes to both. So if you post on library, it then also goes to Odyssey as well. And it's
that was my question.
So library is this underlying network. You could think of it as something like the federated web, if you're familiar with that kind of stuff. So library is this underlying network. It's an open standard. It's similar to IPFS, if you know IPFS, although IPFS is not oriented towards discovery and following publishers and these kinds of things, which library very much is. But from a data infrastructure perspective, it's similar.
Yeah, because
that's selling me on it for sure. I got to get in there.
Because that's kind of what got my attention with what Matthew was doing at ContentSafe, was like Richard said, like, I want to spend more time podcasting, researching, doing, creating content, and not uploading on each individual platform. So, and then once I think when Rich first told me about it, I didn't really get what the hell he was talking about. Maybe it sounded too good to be true in July. So I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? But once we talked the second time, I'm like, wait. So he does similar to what like your podcast host would do. You upload it in one place, and then they send it to Spotify and iTunes and all the podcast apps, so you don't have to go through the trouble of uploading to each individual location. He does the same thing, but with video. And I'm like, Eureka, because I'm like, I want to go on BitChute, I want to go on Library, I want to go on all Float, I want to go on all these platforms. But the time it would take, my limited time already to upload on each individual one, artwork, titles, links, whatever you want to put in the show description, I'm like, it's so time consuming. But it sounds like Library already kind of has that same similar type of technology in regards from YouTube to Library, right? You can basically just take your YouTube stuff. You don't have to upload things twice. Library will do the rest of the work.
That's right. We will. Here's the problem, and I totally support the idea of content safe. I think what they're doing is great, and I think it's a service that makes a lot of sense to use. But one of the things I've seen on the other side of this is what I've watched creators either lose their audiences, or some creators have made a purpose of building their audience up on Library. Like I think James Corbett would be an example. I think he's at like 60,000 subscribers on followers on Odyssey. A big difference is what you do. It's with the one that you choose to talk about, the one that you choose to, and you can say multiple ones. Sticks would be an example of a creator. He rotates. He does one every day. But a reason that people leave will be because you are suggesting that they do, or you're mentioning these alternatives, because your audience trusts you, your audience looks to you. And so when you go and you say, hey, this is better for me, or I think this is the future, because you're talking about these problems, they're now, and your audience is waking up, and they're becoming aware of it, but they now need some guidance on, well, what do I do? And also, if you tell someone, well, use any of these four, then now what? They've got to do all of the research. So I do think it's smart to hedge your bets, to spread your content around. I totally endorse that as a strategy. But if your audience is looking to get somewhere else, like, you kind of do need to offer some guidance and say, hey, like, I'm going to be on these other ones, but like, this is the one that, this is the one that I think is, I'm suggesting this one. It makes it, more people will come over if you say try X than if you say try X, Y, Z, or W,
Yeah, I got a question. I kind of coming back to the whole like storage and everything for the future. When you look at Facebook, Amazon, and all these big companies, they have mass amounts of data centers everywhere. They're spread out everywhere. What is the plans for future, and how are you going to protect your content from rogue cloud platforms and so on, if you're using them to be able to protect it? And yeah,
on our side, one thing we're planning to offer in the near term is offline storage to all of our content creators. So both hard disk or tape drive backups, we can do those to whatever level of redundancy anyone wants to do. Actually, I actively engage with the content creating world, because they have lots of good ideas about what they think would be good approaches to securing their content. It was even Sticks and Hammer that brought up the idea that tape drives are probably the best way to go. It's the cheapest per terabyte anyway, right? And we're adopting that strategy. Every platform, it kind of makes sense for Library or BitChute to pull things from YouTube to their platform. That's wonderful. I do think that philosophically, I don't want to herd everybody on to, say, ROKFIN or Library or Float. That philosophically doesn't work for me. I would rather move them out into a variety of audiences. I recognize that there's a practical marketing hurdle there, perhaps, but from a standpoint of securing your content, being sure that you're going to be reached, that's why ContentSafe also tries to go that one step further and say, how can we help you with staying in touch with your subscribers?
Yeah, as a content producer, the audience that if I put out the podcast last night, some people will watch it on YouTube. Some are going to watch it on BitChute. Some are going to watch it on Library. They'll watch it on Library because if they lose their connection, it holds the place. They might watch it on BitChute because they could fast forward 10 seconds at a time, these sort of things. So I just try to give options so that the audience has, wherever they like to watch it, there's an outpost that we're publishing to.
As I said, like there's so many platforms out there now. I mean, hundreds. And so the thing with us is, you know, we are a bunch of different social medias mixed into one. You know, like we have so many different capabilities, and it's difficult to tell people like, oh, we're a YouTube competitor. We also have like a crypto Patreon model. You know, like it's very confusing. People are just like, what are you? You know, to everybody's point, something that we actually did on Flote, which is my favorite feature, and it's so small and minute. But if you actually go on a Flote profile, you can look in the header, and there are clickable little icons. And we actually have linked a ton of different social platforms. So like we have Apple Music, BitChute, Cash App, DLive, DTube, Facebook, Gab, Hive, LinkedIn, Mastodon, Medium, MeWe, Minds, Parler, Patreon, PayPal, Reddit, SoundCloud, you know, only thing I don't think we have on there is Odyssey, which we do need to get on.
But yeah, I mean, Library is we are trying to get people to just link Odyssey on the web now instead of the library.tv link.
Yeah.
But
you know, we'll add that. I'll get it on my dev priority list this week.
You don't need to do both. Just replace the library link.
But I love that it kind of just gives everyone, you know, like your social channels on your profile right in your header. So it's like the first thing that you see, and all you have to do is just click this link and it brings you to your Odyssey, this link and it brings you to your YouTube. It's such a small little feature, but I feel like it has such a big impact because it kind of collectively just puts all of your data and all of your accounts in one place where people can easily find your content.
Yeah, that's really smart. I'm just about out of time, so I'm gonna go. But it was really great to
getting a chance to talk to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, it was great,
Jeremy.
And our team is very open. We're very available. So if you have questions, you're welcome to follow up with me personally, or anyone at our company. That's another thing we're trying to do differently. Is there are real humans you can talk to around here. So cheers, and it's great to meet all of you, and it feels like we're really doing something here that can work. And so it's an encouraging call.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
God bless you. We'll talk to you soon. Great
Thanks,
job.
Jeremy.
And just to say on the heels of what Jeremy just said, that I look at every single one of my content creators as being someone I want to know as much as possible. I want to understand what your problems are. I want to be able to offer to you solutions, ways to manage your problems. That's the way I look at business in general. I have businesses other than ContentSafe. This is not my primary thing. So, but it is my passion. So I want to be able to get to know all of you that come on board.
Same.
Well, I'm interested in sitting down and talk to you. So yeah, man, this has been a great show so far. And, you know, to have everybody here from all these different websites be able to talk, it's been pretty historic to me. And I think it's great to know that you all kind of want to work together in the capacity. You know, obviously everybody wants to make their business thrive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, any kind of way you guys can work together to push back, because the more free open market there is, the harder it is for them to censor all of us. So I think there's strength in numbers. Even if you guys are competing for clicks and views, working together is a lot better than banging with each other. And
there's no need. I mean, there's plenty of market share, right? So like,
absolutely,
we all don't need to be the next Facebook, you know, like that's just greedy. There's plenty of market share out there. We don't need to be the next YouTube. Like, we just need to be able to be a place, be a beacon of hope in these really dark times where people can, you know, we all have different features and different things that we offer. So let the people like really just go to different platforms. We'll help each other as much as we can and kind of co-market each other. But let people find a home that feels good to them. You know,
that's what we've been doing as creators. I mean, we've all shared shows, we all share content, even though we kind of would technically compete with each other. We've been very good at collaborating all along. I mean, I felt welcome in the podcast YouTube community the whole time. I mean, it's been fantastic.
Collaborate with the competition every day, all day.
My opinion is that this is the most unique form of capitalism ever, because you basically have to earn your living, right? But it's like we can all earn a living. It's not like, for the first time ever, we're not like stores competing against each other. We can actually all lift each other up, and we can all make a good living while still living in a capitalistic system, which is, you get your customers to enjoy your product and purchase it. So I think it's the most unique thing I've ever. It's like nothing ever before.
Yeah, it's true capitalism.
Right. I'm going to talk to what Matthew spoke about, I don't know, a half hour ago, about building a search engine across all the different kind of platforms, if that's even possible. One of the things why I liked YouTube initially was that it allowed small creators to get promoted through its recommendation algorithm, which they had since tweaked to oblivion, where it's impossible for that to ever happen again. So if it's possible to create a new recommendation algorithm, I know it's possible that actually works, that we can use. Awesome. That's why TikTok is so successful right now, is because it has that old recommendation algorithm that YouTube once has, and it's been hacked to oblivion at this point.
Well, it's all about data, man. It's all about data, indexing, and algorithms. A lot of this stuff is open source academic work. It's on GitHub. It's on GitLab. We can avail of this stuff, and we can aggregate data. Right now, the data is freely flowing. I mean,
I'll help you.
Right? Sure. And by the way, the new architecture is pure Python. So,
hey, I'm on board. Hey, I love it.
But let me just say this too about recommendations and algorithms, because you guys just talked about it being true capitalism. No, it's fucking not. No, it is not. It is not even fucking close to true capitalism if they can come out and brag on CNN that they've reduced my traffic by 80%.
Yeah, but what I mean by that, James, is that I don't have to win and you have to lose. It's
I get that part of it. But you do understand that YouTube last week on the 18th decided that even if they demonetize me, they can monetize my content and steal all my money, right? That's not true capitalism. They've actually put that into play in their terms of service, that if you're not a partner program, they can still monetize your content. Now, let me say this. That's technology that is enslaving us through censorship. ROKFIN, to me, is the technology that is empowering us through telling my audience about this. So they may not have all the algorithms built down, but they can see that my audience actually watches my stuff, that I am gaining subscribers, etc. And they're helping me out by putting out emails to people that are on that platform to watch my stuff.
I love that.
Live.
I love that. I think that's huge.
I can't thank them enough. No one's doing that for me at big tech. Google would piss in my mouth sooner. Trust me. It would never happen.
Hey,
so
we're all in the weird shit.
Yeah, library also does that, which is great. So
awesome. Yeah,
it's fantastic feature.
But I'm just saying, Jamie, why don't you explain to people why your platform is going to work? Because I don't think people understand that small time approach of finding niche audiences and bringing them in slowly. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Because we're creator focused. Mainly what that means is, I said it, right? Our mission is to be the best place to monetize content. And to do that, who needs to get paid the best is the creator. You guys are the suppliers of the content. Without you, there's no network. And the problem that digital networks have basically squeezed creators is that when network effects take hold, meaning that they get stronger and stronger as more people join the platform, and therefore it becomes a better product. What happens is that their gains are exponential while the creator gains are linear, and that keeps getting the gap getting bigger and bigger as the network grows. So by us mainly having the creators be part of the growth of the network, that's one of the big reasons why when you joined, the Ray token was, I don't know, 30 cents, and the platform basically grew like fivefold in a few months, and now you see that the price of the token is over $1, and you had the option to say, I could cash out at 30 cents, or I could cash out at more than $1. And so that's the payment side. Like, if you're happy, you're getting paid, then we can build features around, making your experience better. But also, I think Float mentioned not forgetting the user experience, right? Like, the user experience has to be intact for us. The funnel of how people join and then pay is very important. We're looking at that every single day. The experience of watching videos, listening to podcasts, just giving user experience good. But the number one thing we did, when we started is, hey, let's make sure the economic model is solid for the creators, because if they're happy, they'll invite their friends, and their friends will invite their friends, and they're part of the growth of the network.
Absolutely. That's why you got to get Richard Andrew Grove on there. Tragedy and Hope is a great site. If he's applied, Jamie, you got to get him in there tomorrow, man. He's a big gat. They're good over there.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Matthew,
That's such a good point. I was just gonna say that's such a good point.
Sorry, real quick. Sorry, hey, no, you know what, TruthZilla, you haven't talked all day. You guys talk.
All right, Sam. Thanks, man. Well, I was just gonna say, like, we're, as a society, as a human race, we're so used to just being treated like shit by YouTube. In general, just like it's just a constant, like, one commercial after the next, and it's just like, it's just we're just beaten down by it, And I think people, in order to avoid that, they pay the $99 a month for YouTube Premium, right, to avoid just being treated like that. And so, if you could have a platform where, yeah, I am paying for the content, but I would be much more inclined to support something like that rather than just avoid being abused by YouTube. Like, that's really what you're paying for. It's like extortion or coercion, basically, is to avoid the mistreatment that you get from these places. So if I could pay instead of that to support a platform like ROKFIN, man, I'd be way more inclined to do that, I think, for sure. Yeah.
Also, another question for Jamie is, so a lot of us, we post our audio or whatnot all over the place on,
I was going to
iTunes,
mention that,
Spotify, all that stuff. If you're a specifically like an audio podcast, is there a place for you on ROKFIN? And also, if you do also do the video thing, but you post it everywhere, how does it work in regards to, like, okay, do I have to exclusively keep it at ROKFIN and not be able to post it anywhere else? How does that all work if you're, because like myself, I have a small presence on some of the video platforms, but it's not a huge presence. The majority of my listeners are listeners, they just listen to it on iTunes, Spotify, or whatnot. So would there be a way of doing both, or would we have to exclusively be on ROKFIN?
So that's a great question. The answer is that creators do whatever they want to do. It's their content. We don't own any content. You want to put it in 10 different places, you can. We don't put rules on you to say, hey, you can't put that there. Once you're in, it's your content and you can do whatever you want. Now, we realize that to be the best place to monetize content, a subscription so far has worked really well. But there are people that want to put the free content. And good news is that probably late this week, we're going to launch tipping, which is kind of the equivalent of a super chat. So that's another way to monetize your content without necessarily being behind a paywall. But to answer your question, it's really the creator decides whether this piece of content goes behind the paywall, in front of the paywall, whether it goes into 10 different platforms or just on ROKFIN. It's really up to the creator, and they will test different strategies to monetize and see which one works best. So that's decided. It's not by us.
And let me jump in really quick, because Whitney Webb has done a great job of doing everything you were just talking about, Ricky. So in other words, it's not just podcasts. Yes, there's a spot for podcasts there. So if you're just a podcaster, you can have your audio podcast. Video platform, obviously there. That's why I'm there. You can put articles in there. And then what else is nice is it kind of has a thread feature called a stack. So if you have a certain thing, so in other words, Mike Cernovich is on there, and Mike likes to sell a lot of his plans, right? So instead of being a Patreon subscriber to Mike, if you buy ROKFIN, you not only get my content, you get everybody's, but Mike will have one of his like power courses in a stack for you to go through. They've done a really
like
good
a
job.
playlist. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember they were called stacks for a while, but you could put.
They are stacks. We still call them stacks, but the equivalent of for you guys that are on YouTube is the equivalent of creating a playlist essentially.
Yeah. Except for it doesn't necessarily have to be all video content. Now, what I've done there, which I think is also important, is I've started to do exclusives 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. So I go live there. I'm not live on any platform. I'm free for 24 plus hours. This is also what's nice about it. So I get my audience to come in. They come watch me. I decide what's a little too spicy for YouTube. I keep that there. I maybe cut 2 clips out or whatever, and I put that on YouTube. I premiere that stuff, but that lives there free for 24 hours. So I tell people, hey, go check this out. You can join us live. That brings people in to follow. Then after 24, 36 hours, I then put it behind the paywall of premium. So if you support me, you now get my archives. Now, some of that stuff is archived on YouTube, but not all of it. I did a 30+ minute broadcast today there that is going to live on ROKFIN. It's still free. So again, people have that motivation, because one of the other cool things about ROKFIN, guys, which is amazing, is that I have a huge email list without having a huge email list. What do I mean? Everybody that makes an account gives up their email. And if they signed on through you, you got that email too. They have unbelievable analytics. Jamie, you've put together the platform, my friend. I can't talk it up enough. But with that, let's say I get cut off of YouTube. Now I can start a MailChimp or whatever, and I can go to all those people that I know are somewhat interested in me. So it's not just clicking. The only thing I could think they could do better is maybe let me embed my player, and that would be awesome. But other than that, the embed the player, it is fantastic, 100%. So in other words, you want to watch my stuff. Yeah, it's free, but you still got to sign up. So you have those people that you at least know are interested in information beyond what you're getting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Yeah, that's great.
Jamie. Sorry. Jamie, my big, I'm computer stupid. For somebody who lives on the internet, makes his living off the internet, I am dumb when it comes to all the, tech stuff. And I mean, I would love to start live streaming to ROKFIN, but that setup seems to be super difficult, or maybe it's just I don't understand it.
We had some problems with it too.
So, I mean, like there's certain ways, like on Patreon, right? I could start on like StreamYard and put a link that allows me to live stream straight to Patreon and nobody else can see it. I use YouTube, but there's other formats. And then I end up pulling the video off of YouTube because it's too racy. But do you think there's any chance of that that happening on Flote? Because I would love to do content on there and try to get that going, doing live streams. I just can't. I have no clue the stuff that I try to do it. I'm like, okay, I might as well speak Chinese at this point because I really don't know how to do it.
A live stream on Flote, it's as easy as just copying your stream key and your RTMP key. And
yeah, see, that's to me, even I'm just dumb. I can't find my stream key. I don't even know what my stream key looks like. I can barely find my car key.
Sam, we'll get you, bro. Me and you will do a 5-minute private, and I'll have.
I'm just like, I would love to. I got 2
want
daughters.
In on that private.
You got.
Yeah, I mean, if my daughters knew how to do all this, I'd be safe. But they're 9 months old, and they're taking all my cash right now, so I can't even get a tech guy to do it. So that's
actually, Jason Bermas is our live stream expert. We go to him to ask him questions about live streaming.
I listen, it's a lot easier. And I admit I'm a kind of a computer dork, but Sam, I'm trying to make it out to California to go give Fitch the rig that I'm running on right now so he can start live streaming soon. If you're still out there in California, not touring, maybe we'll do a thing. We'll set you up as well. It's not that hard. I agree. The next step for ROKFIN would to be, a YouTube style app that you don't need, whether it be OBS. I use XSplit. That's what I'm using right now for this broadcast to do that. But I'm sure that's down the line. That's when it's ultimate, right? When I can take my phone, I can take a little stick like this, and I can stream in high definition to everybody at an event. And I'm waiting for that. The first app that's letting me do that through a phone without third-party software, I think is also going to have a huge edge in everything we're talking about, especially in this society when there are so many influencers that literally have no tech savvy. They just know how to put their phone in their face, hit record, and for some reason people find them interesting.
Thank God.
Thank God indeed, my friend.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I think that's a very, and we've had this request before, right? Of like live streaming on the streets, whether it's on a protest or election day or whatnot. So it's definitely something we're working on. We focus right now on a lot of our big events are actually sports events. So before the event, we sit with these people, we make sure it's all good, that we're getting the right signal, we walk them through it, make sure they have good internet. That's the number one rule for live streaming. The creator needs to have good internet, and then the setup. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. But we'll walk you through it too. If not, we'll send you to Bermas and we'll help you figure it out.
Hey, Graham, I know you had some questions also. Do you have any other questions, or did that kind of answer it a little bit? Or
Yeah, it was just the same thing you asked about audio. So it was kind of more not only for ROKFIN, but the other platforms, like distributing audio only for that. Like I agree with Mike. YouTube, the YouTube app is so intuitively functional. It's hard to beat that for, I use it to listen to stuff as well, but I got to get myself off there personally. And we only use YouTube for the searching and for the few people that watch us live. So mainly everything is audio, similar probably to TruthZilla and Monica and Mike.
Well, on Flote, you can upload like an MP4 file and just upload audio right to the news feed there.
Yeah. Cool. That's it.
Yep. That's as simple as that.
so would that now, Jamie, would that or somebody else who's on ROKFIN might be able to answer this. Now, if you just basically post it everywhere, how would that affect your monetizing the work? Because aren't you basically not exclusive on ROKFIN? So why would you be able to participate in the monetizing of the content?
Well, Ricky, think about what I do, right? So like, if you like my stuff, instead of just giving me a $10 super chat or paying me $10 once on Patreon, if you're paying me $10 a month, that means if you missed my show 3 times last week, I put that behind the paywall. They watch that. Now, let's say, I do the show with John Fitch also on ROKFIN. Somebody signs up through Fitch, and Fitch mentions mixed martial mindset, and they decide instead of watching it on YouTube and Twitter, because I can triple stream. I triple stream to ROKFIN, YouTube, and Twitter at the same exact time. I could probably quadruple stream without Restream.io. It's a rig that's $1,200 will do that for you, right? So if you watch that same thing behind a premium wall, it's also going to add towards the Ray tokens on there. And if you're subscribed, you have access to all those archives and the exclusives on top of it. So I put out all my stuff all over the place, and a lot of it is free. I want people to be able to watch that stuff and be like, awesome. There's creators out there like Richard Medhurst, who I'm a big fan of. I got to get on the show. You should get on this show, Ricky, who gives all of his stuff away for free. I'm trying to get Corbett on the ROKFIN. I have now for over a year, because you can do that. And I think that's good to his model. And if they want to support him, they can still pay $9.99 for Corbett. He just happens to tell you everything's for free and nothing's behind a paywall. I think it is the ultimate platform for you decide how much you want to monetize and how you want to do it. Because at the click of a button, your content is either free or it's not. You can decide at any moment to make something premium or free like that. It's
yeah. So it's
get it.
Yeah. It's like Jason said, it's really up to the creator. In all honesty, if it's free, if it's free on ROKFIN, you are unable to monetize it. Now, later this week with tipping, people might be able to send you a super chat, whether it's a video, a live stream, or an article or whatnot. But as of right now, it's just a strategy of monetization, right? So if everything that you put on Patreon, for example, you put it everywhere else, what's the carrot that's gonna entice somebody to subscribe? There isn't much, right? But if you give bonus content or whatever, then that's the carrot. So it's just really a creator strategy on best to monetize content. What Jason described is his strategy, right? Some other people have different strategies. Some other people have, I make this one show sidebar that is that is exclusively to ROKFIN. Some people have, I think the Vagabond is starting a series around a specific topic that is exclusive to ROKFIN, but everything else that he produces, it's free on ROKFIN. So, you know, to answer, short answer to your question is the strategy that, you know, Jason's been on the platform for a while now. So he's tinkered with different strategy, and he's found one that works for him. And he has grown since he started doing that strategy.
Yeah. And look at Jimmy Dore, right? So Jimmy Dore has taken kind of the same model that he did for YouTube. And what that model is he live streams, right? Anybody can tune into Jimmy Dore, and it'll be an hour of commercials before it even gets there, because he wants the audience there. You can't rewind it. You can't replay it. You either catch it live or you don't. So that whole show goes away. Then he takes his 2-3 hour show. He puts up 60 minutes worth of clips out of that 2-3 hour show. But if you're a Patreon member, you have full access. And now if you're a ROKFIN member, whether you're signed up for me or anybody else on there, you also have full access to that. So he puts up all those same little clips that he puts up for YouTube for free on that platform and every platform. But if you want to watch the full unedited show that's 3 or 4 hours that was streamed live, you're a premium member. I hope that kind of explains the different types of models you can have on that platform.
I love it. Hey guys, I just want to say this has been historically awesome. I'm honored to be a part of this. I unfortunately have to jump. I love this. I want to say Ricky, Mike, Charlie, great job. Ricky, you did a great job booking this. And it was a real honor to be a part of it. And I appreciate everybody. TruthZilla should talk a little less. Not only kidding, guys. You guys crushed it. And good to see Adam on here. Look who's in the big leagues now, Adam, huh? Look at you. I love it.
Guy.
Listen, man, I just got to say this. I love that little, that new podcast like TruthZilla. Adam, I don't know you, Snyder, but I'm sure you're a crusher too. And I just love that the Union of the Unwanted has every level of this shit. And I think it's great. And I think that's why this Union of the Unwanted is so special, man. And great things are going to happen. And when I see TruthZilla, who I know those guys started, when they started, I was like, fuck yeah, go for it. Great name. Debra Gets Red Pilled. I love it, dude. I mean, this is a guy who's been on my Patreon forever, and he jumps in all the time. Now he's here on the Union of the Unwanted with his own podcast. Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what makes this so special. And it was a real honor to be here. I love everybody here, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, so
we just celebrated our 6-month anniversary, and Megan got us socks for the people that inspired us the most. So he got Melissa Floyd socks, and I got a pair of Sam Tripoli socks, man. So that's pretty stoked about that. Yeah.
I saw those actually on your Instagram. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam, so do you want to jump in here? Do you have any questions for Jamie or for Matt or for anybody else?
I'm probably more computer dumb than Sam is, which is hard to believe. But yeah, I'm just still amazed that I can like record something on Zoom and then it appears on iTunes. So I'm just gonna listen for now. If you guys want to talk about like Hillary Clinton fucking kids and wearing their faces later, I'll be more vocal.
I think this next episode.
Next week's episode.
Specifically that topic on the next episode. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to say that Sam and Jason have been doing a great job promoting ROKFIN, and I've been trying to get Josh Sigerson to go on there.
I was trying to get Josh too, man. Fucking, I had him
trying
on,
to
like,
drag
the
a horse.
day
I'm sure
after-
Erin, if she could attest how hard it is to drag that kid to water to do anything. But
That's true. Yeah,
I'm gonna try. But I had a question for Jamie. What if I were to sign up underneath Jason's referral link, and I watch Jason's stuff, and I also watch Sam's stuff too? Does Sam get a piece of like the action, or is there like some sort of like pro rata? Like I spent 50-50. Like how does that work in terms of getting other content creators compensated?
We separated in acquisition and retention royalties. So your $9.99 the first time you sign up, of course, goes to the person you sign up through 100%. And then after that, it starts decreasing. The acquirer has a hold in the lifetime value of your subscription. So basically, whoever you acquired your subscription gets paid for the lifetime of that subscription, even if they're not consuming them. And then the rest is split up by your behavior, who you watch, and split up based on who you watch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know that totally makes sense. And I've got to run, but thank you everyone for everything that you've done. And I want to get in touch with Jaime at some point to talk about getting on ROKFIN. But anyways, thank you so much for everyone, and thank you, Ricky, for putting this.
I got to run too. I just want to say that that Jason explained it very well, ROKFIN, because Jaime was very kind enough to talk with me about ROKFIN. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it at that point in time. But I'm thinking like 2021 is a good time to do that. Jason explained it very well. Like I thought about it in a new way, and Sam was kind enough to speak for me to get over there on ROKFIN, and I think it's time. I think it's time to do it. I think they offer a good platform. The UI is amazing, and being able to stream there live, I think I can figure that out. Maybe I could help Sam, but I can figure it out.
I gotta jump too, guys. I appreciate all the compliments. We recognize we still have a lot of work to do, but at the same time, we're happy, very excited where we are, and excited for the future.
And let me shout out to Jaime too, because he actually was a big fan of the original Union of the Unwanted podcast. The very first one you did, I posted it over on ROKFIN in 2 parts, and Jaime got at me afterwards. He said, dude, this was awesome. It gave us so much insight on how we can grow our platform. And it was back then, that there was first talking about a super chat mechanism. And I got to tell you, my nipples are super hard just thinking about it next week, Jaime. I can't wait. Let's get it going. I love it. And keep it up, brother. So we got a fan on the podcast. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. I definitely joined that Union of the Unwanted looking for, hey, what are these guys talking about? What do they need? That's definitely the best product research I've done.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's the idea of this show, is kind of just bring people together and just, cross-pollinating and helping each other and creating a community. And I'm a fan. I mean, I've talked to all you guys, I've talked to Kinsley, I've talked to Jaime, I've talked to Matthew, I've talked to all these alternative platforms except Picciott, so fuck them. I'm kidding. But it is one of those things where like I'm so hopeful for the future, because like you guys actually care about the content and the creators and see the censorship issue as an issue also. So like it's helpful for us to be like, okay, like the person behind the platform or the person behind, creating this or making the decisions actually does, they care, and in some cases are fans of the content creators. So, I think it's awesome. It makes me feel much more willing to want to go help the platforms and invest in the platforms and promote the platforms. I hope that this show helps promote some of the platforms and maybe even answer some questions that some listeners have about these platforms before they jumped over. So, I'm just doing my part in helping. I just got to stop promoting and actually join the platforms now.
Well, let's mention them one more time. So we had Odyssey on, as ODYSEE.com. And you have ContentSafe.co. We also have ROKFIN.com on, and FLOTE.app.
FLOTE.
Yep. .app.
Hey, I got a quick question for Jaime if he's still here. I can't see if he's still here.
I'm still here.
All right. So I'm still in the queue. And if you have to evaluate my content, the best sample is from last night, grandtheftworld.com. And it's episode 4. And if you like what you see and you want that type of live streaming content with references and footnotes, then I'm interested.
Email me again.
Like 5 times to say it.
Email me again. And email me directly at creators@rokfin.com.
I'll just do a Twitter to both you guys.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
I'll tweet you both in.
Too.
Yeah, I'll tweet you both in. Jamie's been super responsive about that. We just got Jaime Deluxe on the platform. We got to get Jaime Deluxe on. We've had Jaime Deluxe on this once.
Yeah. We just can't get him and you and Whitney Webb, because then there's too many F-bombs. We just have to minimize.
Hey guys, I appreciate the time.
Later, Jaime. Thanks again, brother.
Jamie, thanks for the time.
Jaime, we'll be in touch.
I got to run too, guys. I have just a very overzealous puppy here who is chewing on
Thanks, Erin.
See ya.
Thanks, Erin. Anybody else want to?
I think we're winding down the show anyway, so that's all good.
Mr. Snyder,
it was a good meeting.
Mr. Robertson, anybody want to? Any last thoughts and any feedback on
Well, it's a real education for me because I went to the Sam Tripoli Technical Institute and graduated with full honors. So I know nothing. So this is just a big eye-opening experience for me. I mean, I'm familiar with the platforms, but as far as how they all work and what differentiates one from the other is something that I'm really not clear on. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there like me that are able to listen to this, and then they'll be able to make decisions on where they want to be, and maybe they want to be everywhere. Maybe the plan is be everywhere so that it's impossible for them to take you down. And so thanks guys, everyone that came on and gave these detailed explanations about how the technology works. We're at a real pivotal time. You know, they're trying to silence anybody that's talking about really important things for obvious reasons. So it's sort of a now or never proposition for us as far as getting this information out.
Well said, Charlie.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Snyder, nothing, huh? You're not going to say something?
I don't know, man. I mean, like, it's one of those things where I was just enjoying kind of like listening to everyone else talk about it, because my perspective on it comes from a very different background, which is like filmmaking. And filmmaking, you don't get censored so much as you never get anything but censored. And so to give you an example of kind of like what that's like, take the MPAA, one of their the people on their advisory board who appeals NC-17 rating decisions, that's a priest. So you have like religion looming over the censorship model as it applies to what rating something does or does not get. If you want to be included, say you have a film that comes out and you want someone to give a film review, it has to premiere at certain venues within a certain like city or municipality in order to qualify for whether or not it makes it into the paper. So censorship, in my perspective, coming out of my world, it's something that's like an integral part of creating a social environment that then paves the way to festivals, which themselves are gatekeepers as well. So it's really interesting to hear all of it from like a completely different realm, because we know that these big tech kind of entities were farted out by DARPA in a very broken way, almost by design, such that there was a very brief window of time wherein we were able to avoid censorship, and now that's closing. So it's really interesting to see all of this come out of that closing door.
Have you seen this film is not yet rated, just because you were talking about the censorship and the MPAA?
I have seen it. Yeah.
Big fan of that film. Can't recommend it enough. I actually interviewed Kirby Dick back in the day as well. I encourage people to check it out. That's the last thing I'll say on this Union of the Unwanted.
You know, something else I should state is that we've got in the works coming up soon our own podcast show called Deplatformed. And I'd really like to have some of you guys on there, especially talking about censorship historically. I think that would be a great topic to talk about for an hour or two.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then
Love to be on
Adam Red Pilled. Debra Gets Red Pilled. Adam is from Debra Gets Red Pilled. So definitely check out that podcast. We've actually discussed it. I think you owe TruthZilla some money, because I'm kidding. Because they gave you a shout out on one of these shows. And then obviously Richard Grove, new show. You want to let people know where they can get that? It's awesome. He actually, all of us might eventually be on that show at some point, because he talks about what the alternative media is discussing, and he takes clips from everybody's shows and talks about it, and gives everybody some props, which is awesome.
I wanted a one-stop shop where I could go and find all my favorite creators, because they're all getting scattered to the wind. So everybody from Corbett to Ricky to Bermas, Whitney Webb, Derek Bros, Mark Passio, all on one page, grandtheftworld.com. And then weekly, we do a podcast. So there's a chronological news feed of everyone's productions for the week. So you just can go through there. Luke Radowski. But we take like the top 10%. Here's the most prolific stories of the week, and we break it down in the podcast and add additional references to what those fine creators already do. So Jason, last night in one of the clips, he mentioned technopoly. So we got into technocracy at a totalitarian level becomes technopoly, broke out the sources and references to educate the audience so that they can talk about it at a realistic level. So it's freedom united at Grand Theft World.
Awesome.
And
definitely check out Conspiracy Synergy, right? That you're still obviously working on that, and you want to let people know where you can get that.
I've broken it into 2 parts. The first part will be done in like a couple of weeks. I'm going fucking insane. It's like, yeah.
And is it conspiracysynergy.com or what's the?
Yeah, it is. That's primarily the website, and it's Adam over at Debra Gets Red Pilled. This is a segue question. Are you ever going to do an episode where you try and get her to explain something to somebody? Because that's kind of one of the introductory kind of wheels of going through this world, is just trying to articulate any of this shit to somebody else. You know what I mean? Is that going to be an episode? I'm curious.
Yeah. She has one friend who's like listening with an open mind. So I'm going to have her go back, and I'm going to have her on and have her do my job. And I'm just going to sit there and laugh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a fun show. I've been a guest on the show. It's such a great show. It's such a great concept. We had such a good time. And when I got done, I felt so bad. Poor Deborah was like, oh, my head hurts.
That was my favorite part about it.
I'm
about halfway through the episode.
Man, people got to have to check that out. It's a great show. And TruthZilla, my friends at TruthZilla, I will see you in 2 days.
Yeah. Can't wait, man.
Yeah. I got to get out of here. Matthew, I'm curious about looking at the code repo. This Python, I want to take a look. So I'll email I think one of your coworkers, Owen. I talked with him. Nice guy. So
he mentioned that you guys had a great conversation.
We did.
And
so,
if you want to schedule, I got a Calendly link in there in chat. Drop me an email.
Cool.
Either one.
Love to. I love talking to you guys. I will see you guys in like 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Peace, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Ricky.
Hey. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricky.
Always wonderful hearing your lovely voice, Ricky.
Well, my wife might disagree with you, but it's
guys, stop letting her talk down to your voice. No more.
Thanks, guys. And I'm glad we could plug some of the fast up and coming shows, the Conspiracy Synergy, TruthZilla, Debra Gets Red Pilled. This is like the JRE, but instead of bringing comedians up, we're bringing other podcasters. So,
man, Ricky, you have no idea how much we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Hey, we all got help. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we so that's the least we can do.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
Badass.
guys. Hey,
Thanks, guys. Have a
great
good night.
day.
Peace.
Enjoy.
Good to see you, Adam.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you in 2